the Glass Cannon Network.
Good evening, Glass Cannon Nation! My fellow Glass Canadians, how are we doing tonight? I am fired up. You know, we have a show tomorrow night at the Bell House in Brooklyn. Tickets still available. VIPs still available. I don't get really nervous for shows anymore. We've done this for so long. I've been doing theater my whole life. Like, I don't get nervous. I get fucking fired up. But I don't get nervous. I'm like nervous for tonight. Not like, oh, I hope it goes well. Just, well, maybe a little bit of that. But also just like super excited, and it's just culminating in this like shakiness from within that I can't seem to shake, as it were. A shakiness that I can't shake. I'm doing my own tech tonight, but I'll have you know that has nothing to do with the blip there. That's just the internet being the internet. I got FiOS, direct line in. I'm gonna try and keep an eye on the chat this evening, so when people say, I can't hear you, where did you go, where is my stream, I can try to fix it. But I'm doing everything here behind the scenes tonight because there's a lot of confidential stuff here that I didn't want anybody to see until the State of the Naish. So yeah, as is tradition, I made a Mississippi pot roast today. It was actually the first one that I made since I mentioned the Mississippi pot roast on the Glass Cannon podcast, however many episodes ago that was. I had it a couple days or a couple weeks before I mentioned it on the show, and then it swept the nation, not just Glass Cannon Nation, but the entire nation, and then I never had it. People sent me no less than 400 photos of their Mississippi pot roast, and I woke up this morning and I said, you know what? I'm making a Mississippi pot roast. I got the ingredients at Wegmans yesterday and just had it. It was delicious. I'm having a little brewski here tonight. This is a Troegs. If you're familiar with Hershey, Pennsylvania, this is a Troegs Imperial Pumpkin Ale. It's called Master of Pumpkins. Master of Pumpkins. I'm hoping to take down this whole 32-ounce crowler during the State of the Nation tonight. Look, you can even see my hand's like a little on edge because I'm so excited to share all this information with you. But my wife lovingly bought this for me last weekend when she took the children to Hershey for 3 days and left me here alone just so I could work on this presentation. I was just roaming the house in my underwear. It was like Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now, just punching mirrors and staring at my bloody knuckles. But hopefully I've come out on the other end of it ready to deliver tonight's John. Ooh, I'm loud, I'm yelling because I'm excited. And I hope over the next hour or so, you will be excited too. Why are we here this evening? Why are we here? Well, we are gathering here tonight for the 2022 State of the Naish. Now, I've done a few of these over the years since we started in 2015. Some of them filmed with just a phone. Others just not as formal. And I did one last year, and then I said I would never do one again, ever. And the reason I said that is sometimes plans change. This is why, as my colleague Joe O'Brien has pointed out, Apple waits until like the day before they're dropping something to announce it. It's like, new iPhone comes out tomorrow, because they want to wait until they're absolutely ready before they announce something. I like to build hype for things. I'm a hype man. I can't help it. But things change. And I'm also just a very mercurial person. And when my gut feeling is to pivot one way or another, I like to follow my gut, because in many ways, my gut is what got us to where we are today. So I trust my gut. One of the problems with what we do is that things can change in our very small business in an instant, and the reasons that they change are so varied and nuanced, and it's not always things that we can talk about openly. Most of the time, it's just because it's not super interesting. Other times, it's just business, but it's our business, and I've talked before on Cannon Fodder about the difficulties with parasocial relationships between creators and fans, because we like to be super transparent. I think more so than most, certainly more so than most people in our position. We like to be transparent about what we do, what goes on behind the scenes, especially where so many of you started listening when we launched this show and got to listen in real time as five friends turned a hobby into a business. So we like to let you in on that process. But as we continue to grow, as we continue to expand, it's not always feasible to be able to be so forward. And sometimes when we don't speak on things for a long time, it's not because we're trying to hold anything back. It's because there's a million things going on, and we want to wait until we have actual information to share with you, which we do tonight. So let me just make sure the stream is still running good. That's good. So tonight, my goal is, in all the things that we're going to talk about, I want to do my best to talk about things at a level in which I'm certain about, or at least semi-certain about. That doesn't mean things still can't change and won't change, but it's my hope that the level at which I discuss things this evening is as locked in as it can be, because frankly, we're already moving forward with all of these decisions behind the scenes. The wheels are already in motion, so these things that I'm going to talk about tonight, it's not so much that they're going to happen as much as they are happening. And that's why we're ready to talk about it. But first, let's talk about 2022. You got to take a look back before you can look forward, right? Master of Pumpkins. 2022 was a transitional year for us in many ways, and we went in knowing that was going to be the case. After finishing Androids and Aliens in late 2021, all of the time and energy then went into wrapping up the 7-year campaign that launched the network in Giant Slayer. And after that happened, as I knew these things were going to happen, I knew that a shift was needed. And that shift was to launch 5 new shows. Inherit the Sand, our Dune miniseries that we did at the beginning of the year, Haunted City, Time for Chaos, Voyagers of the Jump, The Game Garage. I also knew that I wanted to take a property like Get in the Trunk, which I knew was wildly popular, and take it to the next level by starting a campaign and moving it from just being an exclusive podcast to being something that people could watch on stream as well, or watch afterwards on YouTube. I wanted to share this with more people while still making it a Patreon exclusive podcast. All of these were big projects. I remember when Arc Dream sent us the book for Impossible Landscapes, I remember the day that it came into the office, I said to Joe, "You're running that." And he said, "Absolutely not." And that's when I knew that we'd be doing it. And a couple years later, we did. And from all of these shows, especially the new seasonal shows that we did, I think that the fruit that's going to be yielded from these shows will come even more and more as time goes on, and more people, find their way to the Glass Cannon Network. The way I think about it is say you've never heard of David Lynch, right? You've never heard of David Lynch, and then all of a sudden you see an episode of Twin Peaks, and you're like, this is my, I love this, and so you just binge all of Twin Peaks, and then you watch Mulholland Drive and all of his films and all of his short films. There's just so much stuff to find once you discover him, like discovering there's the West Wing and be like, there's 1,000 episodes of this show? Wait, and Aaron Sorkin made more shit? Oh my God. That's what it's like with what we're doing. I think that, the barrier to find us may still be higher than I'd like it to be. But once you discover us, we've now created this rabbit hole of content, the likes of which no one is producing. And as more and more people find their way to the Glass Cannon Network, I think they're going to find a volume of content of people playing more games at a quality level that I don't think anyone in the industry can match. And I truly believe that. When you look back at just this past year alone, the end of Giant Slayer, those final episodes of Giant Slayer, this whole past season of Get in the Trunk, Time for Chaos, these strange Aeon shows at their peak, Voyagers, I really believe that we are the best at what we do. And it's only a matter of time before more and more people find us, discover us, and realize that. Now listen, I know we may not be everybody's cup of tea, but tea isn't the only beverage out there. Plus, tea sucks. Fuck tea. I think that by offering lots of different shows, we're giving a little something to everyone so that if you're into sci-fi, we've got that. If you're into horror, we've got that. If you want classic fantasy, we've got that. Steampunk, we've got that. I don't know. No one else is doing that really at the volume and level of quality that we are. And so I'm so excited about everything that happened this past year. The market for what we do is larger than our current share of it, as evidenced by people that are bigger than us. So we just need those people to find us, and when they do, there's this cornucopia of content and genres and games and people from all walks of life that fill out the Glass Cannon network that there wasn't even a year ago or 2 years ago. Now, the fact is, with a transitional year like this, we have seen a plateau in overall growth. Our Patreon has remained stagnant for the past year, and for the first time in company history, really. And there's several reasons for that. The end of the flagship show. We started offering a lot of content on Patreon that you can get for free elsewhere, so there's really no reason to subscribe when you can just watch the YouTube. And we lost plenty of people who left because they don't like where we stand on certain social issues that pertain to the most basic of human rights. That's business in 2022. We're not going to change who we are for anyone, and certainly not for money. The thing is, the industry that we work in, the industry that we play in, is still in its most nascent stages, and trying to scale a company like this in an industry that isn't even really defined, it comes with its own unique set of challenges and hurdles that no amount of business training or marketing experience can just algorithm away. So it's been a learning process. We know that we need to innovate and expand, but we also want to make sure that we don't lose sight of what made us so special in the first place. What's made so many people join the Naish and listen, whether it was in 2015 or this morning. We want to grow without losing sight of that. And so we knew at the beginning of the year there was going to be a teething period because as the year began, we were also undergoing structural changes to the business itself. We're not a lemonade stand anymore. It's like, fives should change, sir. We needed to bring on people with way more business experience than us to help us organize and structure things and build a strong foundation for growth. If you're going to take on more employees, more contractors, you need to have an HR department. You need to have certain processes in place that we didn't have. Is processes a word? It is now. But I'm also not a super patient guy. I think that when you have an opportunity like the one that we've created for ourselves, I just feel like you have to fucking grind, because tomorrow that opportunity might not be there for a million different reasons. And I don't know, I spent the better part of 2 decades just trying and failing at all these artistic endeavors, creative endeavors, and the opportunity to be able to make money and entertain so many people like this is just a dream. And it's one that I don't take for granted. And it's certainly one that I don't try to take for granted, even when things are difficult. And things sometimes are difficult. We have a lot of fun here, but it's hard work. And now we have families and children, some of us, and there's just a lot more going on. So while I don't begrudge this year at all, I'm now happily armed with more information to prepare for the dawning of a new day in 2023. And what we have planned, what we are finally in a position to enact, are things that I think fans new and old will be as excited about as we are. I really believe that. It's time to get to work. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about this evening. I haven't even looked at the stream. Let me just take a peek here. I've got notes. You'd think I was running Call of Cthulhu tonight. I've got so many notes. But I just want to make sure I want to make sure that I get out everything that I want to say, but I also want to make sure that I don't overstate things. Like I said, I really want to talk about things I know we're going to do and be very wary about, like, here's what we might do. I want to talk about, the definites. I see people like Skid in the chat tonight praising Steve Geddes. I mean, talk about a guy that's been with us since the beginning. Always a huge sub donator in the chat. Thank you, Steve. And thank you, everybody who spends their hard-earned money and their precious time with us. Hopefully you have a little bit of both of those things left for the coming years, because we've got a lot to offer. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about this evening. I'm very parched. I'm talking a lot. I need a co-host. Linus. Oh. We're going to talk about the future of Raiders of the Lost Continent and Legacy of the Ancients, our two Patreon exclusive Pathfinder podcasts that Skid runs. I'm going to talk about a brand new exclusive podcast coming to Patreon. I'm going to touch on the 2023 return of all these seasonal shows that we launched or continued this past year. Then I'm going to go over our Patreon as a whole, kind of like what our offerings are and how the structure of those offerings may be, I don't want to say changing, but just kind of being streamlined a little bit. And also introduce our new Refer a Friend program, a little RAF program. I'm going to talk about a new show, series, venture. Let's call it a venture coming in 2023. It might be a series. Series is probably the better word, but venture, it's really all three. You'll see. Very excited about this. Probably the thing Joe is most excited about since I brought it up to him. We're going to go over our involvement with the Extra Life Marathon we're doing again this year on Saturday, November 5th. We're going to be gaming all day and night. Might even make it 24 hours this time. We've set a huge goal of $40,000. So I'm going to talk about what we're actually going to be doing that day and ways in which you can help, because that is a lofty goal. And last year we crushed our 35K goal. So I set it at 40K this year just to challenge the Naish, because it couldn't go to a better cause. I'm going to talk about the Strange Aeons tour in 2023 and Strange Aeons in general, sort of what our plans are with this this show that has become the sort of transitional show after the end of Giant Slayer. And then finally, we're going to have a very interesting and exciting conversation about a little show you might know called the Glass Cannon Podcast. I'm going to finish our little State of the Naish with that this evening. And then I'm going to leave some time for a Q&A and, try to answer as many questions as I have time for, as I want to answer. And then, we'll see. Time permitting, if there's still a lot of questions, I'll move over to the Discord after the stream, and we'll do a little more Q&A on the Discord. There's a Champagne Room voice channel that is opened up that I'm gonna head to after the stream and try to answer some more questions for our subscribers that you can put in the Champagne Room chat. But blah 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 blah. Are we doing this? I'm sweating already. Why did I wear a hoodie? I wanted to look like a pumpkin. I've got the green and the orange. I was going for the pumpkin, but now I'm just a sweaty pumpkin. This is what happens. It's not even hot in here. I'm all fired up, and I've been drinking beer. Take it off, Troy, they say. Well, da-da-da-da. Okay, shut up. Here we go. What do we want to talk about first? Well, here's the thing. Once I launch into this, it's like a freight train of news. I'm going to be showing a slideshow, and you're just going to hear my voice for the most part while you take in the sights and sounds of this shoddily put together slideshow. So I think we should just do it. We've got almost 800 people in the chat. I'm not getting any text from anybody that the signal has dropped, so I think we just need to launch right in. I think everything I have to say tonight is exciting news. At least internally, I know for a fact everyone behind the scenes is foaming at the mouth about our plans. But you know, what we think is cool and what you guys think is cool is not always the same thing. And if there's any news that I have reservations about, I want to get it away up top, or get it out of the way up top, because then everything else, I don't think there's anything else that has any sort of nuancy where like, I don't like that, or you know, this is the one where people, I know some people are going to be disappointed, but I want to get that out of the way first, because then we can just enjoy our meal for the rest of the night. And honestly, even though this first bit may not be exactly what everyone wants to hear, it's not only the best decision for us, but it came right from the man who should be making that decision, who is the one who runs the show. So let's kick it over to that man. You might know him. His name is Skid Marr, and he's going to talk about his 2 Patreon exclusive shows, Raiders of the Lost Continent and Legacy of the Ancients. Skid, take it away.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's me, Skid. Happy State of the Naish. I'm here to share some news with you about the goings-on with my shows in the Glass Cannon Network, namely what are they? Raiders of the Lost Continents and Legacy of the Ancients. There we go. So, as you probably remember, the original plan was to alternate between seasons of Raiders of the Lost Continent and Legacy of the Ancients, as we would wrap up a book in the respective adventure paths that those were based on, Ruins of Aslant and Rise of the Runelords. But being that Grant is no longer with the company, and Drakeus is as critical as he is to the Raiders of the Lost Continent story, and also Troy is as busy as he is, and he would not be able to commit to doing Raiders of the Lost Continent either. And we're not going to be going back into Raiders of the Lost Continent. And I was actually, when Troy mentioned that he didn't feel like he would have enough time to do it, I was actually kind of excited, because I've been loving Legacy of the Ancients so much. I love the AP so much. I'm so in love with the group that I'm playing with and all their characters and the story that we've told so far. So I'm actually excited to say that we are going to, instead of jumping back to the next chapter of Raiders of the Lost Continent, we're going to be continuing on and going into chapter 3 of Rise of the Runelords and continuing with Legacy of the Ancients. I hope people aren't too upset. I hope people are excited to continue on with this group, because I really am. I love this story so much. And if anyone out there, if you know the adventure path, you know how cool this next chapter is in the story. So I'm really excited. I'm ecstatic, honestly. I really do want to get back to the Ruins of Aslan. I think everybody's helped to craft an amazing story in that show as well. There's some really cool stuff coming up in that, but I just would not feel right. It wouldn't feel like an organic continuation going on at this point without Colonel Luther and Drakeus. So I'm super pumped. I'm so glad that we're gonna continue on with Legacy of the Ancients. We're gonna go smoothly right into book 3 when we wrap up book 2, in however many months that takes. However many plays that the characters put on that I write in the meantime. But so that's the plan. I am so excited. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for everything else that I know that we have planned for this coming year. I hope you are too. And I hope you continue to enjoy Legacy of the Ancients. And thank you so much. All right. We'll see you there. Bye.
So there you have it. You heard it from the man himself. Listen, I know people are going to be bummed about this. It's sad news. It's difficult, obviously, with Grant moving on from the network, and just the day-to-day, not only the responsibilities I have running this company, but the plans that we have for the immediate future that you're going to hear about real soon. It would just be impossible to do this. And honestly, at the end of the day, Skid, every GM should have at their table people that are there 100%. And I know that if we were to try to do this, I just wouldn't be there. And that's not fair to Skid. It's not fair to the adventure. It's not fair to you, the listener, for sure. But really, it came down to Skid just being so happy running Legacy of the Ancients with this legendary cast. I had to leave this show too, which is such a kick in the old wiener. But again, it was just in order to pull off this year. That's what I had to do. But I'm certainly not too proud to admit that the show is much better with Sydney instead of me. The energy in that show, everything. Sydney makes everything she does on this network better. And for Skid to be able to play in a weekly show with like one of his oldest New York friends, Nick Lowe, and everything that the Skid and Matthew's relationship is just so different when Skid's the GM and not me. Like that's why you get Lord Northwood. And then everything Joe is doing with Averxius, I mean, it is just a dream team. But the key here is Raiders is, it's just being paused. We're not saying Raiders is outright canceled. I'm not saying that day won't come, but like it's being paused for now for several reasons. But the thing is, you're still going to get this show every single week. And Skid can only run, he'd be the first to tell you, can only run one Pathfinder show a week. I've asked him if he'd like to run more, and he doesn't feel comfortable doing it. So I don't blame him. That is a lot. For him to be able to dedicate fully to this show, a game that he has run now 3 times a lot of this stuff, you're getting a depth of GMing unlike anything on the network. And so while we're sad to not see Raiders immediately return, I think the show that you're going to continue to get on Friday afternoons or Friday mornings, whatever the hell you listen to it, is one of the best on the network. And it's only available at our $5 subscription tier. So, F in the chat for now for Raiders, but get excited for Book 3 of Legacy, which will be starting probably late 2023 at the pace that they're moving through Book 2. But that, like I said, if there was any news that was going to be like, damn it, that's it. Everything else is just get excited time. So coming in 2023, we are going to be launching a new podcast. We're going to be launching several new shows, but this is going to be a bit of a bread and butter show for the network. It is a brand new podcast only. So there's no video, there's no streaming component. This is meant to be a fully edited podcast. A fully edited podcast playing a game called Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I'm not sure how many of our listeners are familiar with that game. It's gaining popularity, and it's going to be coming to our $10 premium membership tier on Patreon. This is part of our growth initiative for the Patreon. We want to offer stuff that is only available on the Patreon, only available as a podcast, and only Pathfinder. So here to tell you about this upcoming show is the host and GM of that show, Mr. Jared Logan.
What's up, Glass Cannon Naish? Troy Lavallee has asked me to prepare a written statement. So here it is. I am so excited, so very excited to announce to you Blood of the Wild, our new actual play podcast of Paizo's Quest for the Frozen Flame adventure path, featuring a stellar cast: Joe O'Brien, Skid Maurer, Mary Lou, and Paula Deming. I'm titillated to announce this to you. Now, a lot of people I've seen in the Reddit comments have said things like, oh, Jared's very good at running improvisational story games, things that are more narrative and less tactical. Jared's less good at games with crunchy rules. Well, I am running this game just to spite you. So eat that, haters. Now, I've been studying the rules. I've been actually, honestly, reading my way through the entire 2E core rulebook, and I know that with the help of you and your politely worded Reddit comments, we are going to get this right. Together, we will create an epic saga in which a small band of hunter-gatherers fights for survival against dire enemies on the frozen steppe. I want this to make you laugh, but I also want it to make you cry. The way that I cry when I read all the way through the Pathfinder 2e rulebook. I mean, Pathfinder, more like Math Finder, am I right? Okay, I really am joking. I'm learning how to play the game, and I can't wait to play it. So, thank you. I love you. I'm rambling now. All right, I'll see you guys later. See you on the frozen steppe. Bye-bye.
Folks, you heard it here first. Brand new show coming exclusively to the $10 premium audio tier on Patreon. Blood of the Wild, which will be an actual play of the Pathfinder 2nd Edition 3-book adventure path, Quest for the Frozen Flame. I think we were in Nashville. What was the name of the restaurant? Obviously, Jared was in Nashville with us. It was Jared, Sydney, me, and Matthew. That's right, because Skid was out. I think everyone except Sydney, we went out for lunch. God, I wish I remembered that. It was a restaurant right on, right downtown. Really great restaurant. Anyways, in typical Troy fashion, like I can only do small talk for a little bit, and then I'd be like, let's talk business. And obviously I'd been hanging out with them all weekend, but I was like, hey, why don't we talk about 2023? And Jared just leaned back in his chair with a smile and said, do you want to hear what I want to do? And I had this like pitch-ish thing kind of ready to go. And so I just said, please. And he said, I want to run Pathfinder 2nd Edition. All the time that he spent playing Xantar, he has really gotten into this system. And I think, as he joked about this stigma that like, oh, Jared can't run a rules-heavy game. Nothing could be further from the truth. Jared has been studying this hardcore. I mean, he's way into it. We've given him every resource at our beck and call to ensure that this is going to be a really special show, because not only is he going to be bringing this adherence to the rules, a very rules-heavy game. Don't get it twisted. Pathfinder 2e is not Pathfinder Light, but he brings Jared, which is just such a wonderful, unique thing that, like, when I watch him GM, it makes me want to be a better GM. And I know that Skid and Joe and Matthew feel the same way.
Hey, everybody.
And kick back to that video. Look at this cast! You take that and then you add this cast. Skid and Joe. Let's get a couple of OGs in there and then pair them up with Mary Lou and Paula Deming. And let me tell you, if you haven't seen Paula and Mary Lou's work on the network, I urge you to go to our YouTube and watch some of the stuff, or go to our Patreon and find the stuff that they've been featured on. They are... they elevate everything that they're on in this group, and especially if you watch Time Watch with Joe, Mary Lou, and Paula, you would have thought, and Jared, you would have thought they were playing together for 100 years, and then you throw Skid into the mix. I mean, this is going to be a real gauntlet dropped for the network to have another Pathfinder 2nd Edition pre-written adventure on the network. Obviously, it's available only at the premium tier, at least to start. They're running a bunch of session zeros right now, several session zeros that we're going to make available. I think we're going to make them available for everybody. I can't remember what the final decision on that was, but to me, it makes sense. Just put it out there so people get a taste of what these characters are going to be like. It's not going to be like the show at all, but you get to hear the process. Jared is actually doing individual session zeros with each of the players to build these characters together, and then they're going to do a group session zero. I say gonna do. We've already started recording because I want this to launch in January. So if you're excited about this, Blood of the Wild is coming at your face to Patreon in January of 2023. Let me check back in with everybody. How are we doing? I'm a little clammy. I should have had my assistant powder me while I was watching Jared's video, but I didn't. So anyways, guys having fun? I know there's a lot of writers. Oh no, Jared, getting a little heated there. I'm telling you, this is just the beginning of what I have to talk about this evening. And if you like this, man, let's talk about some more. Let's talk about, I mentioned before, we have several seasonal shows that we launched this year. What a year it's been for our seasonal shows. It started with New Game Who Dis. It started with the pandemic when I was like, we need to create other content. Why don't we just start playing some other games? And then it was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Let's do this all the time. And then New Game Who Dis was born. And after New Game Who Dis, or not even after, a few months in, I was like, this is great and I love this, but I need more. I need more than 3 sessions. Why don't we take our favorite games, the games that resonated the most with our audience, and put together some longer series that we can release as seasonal content. And so we did. Haunted City, Time for Chaos, Voyages of the Jump. So first of all of these shows are going to be getting their own unique RSS feed. At the beginning of the year, we rebranded the ANA, the Androids and Aliens feed, to Glass Cannon Network Presents, because the Androids and Aliens feed was so strong. We built that up so much, we just couldn't pass up the ad revenue. We had our ad company being like, there are a lot of people that want to put ads on your show, but you don't have any show on there, because we had ended Androids. And so, I hemmed and hawed about it forever. I really didn't want to mash everything together, but it was just revenue that we couldn't turn away, because when you start a new feed from scratch, it takes a while to build up enough of a subscriber base for ad support to want to come in. At the end of the day, especially where we have plans to bring these shows back for multiple seasons, I just decided that I want to give them their own feeds and just let them start building on their own. So, all 3 of these shows, along with Inherit the Sand and The Game Garage, are going to get their own RSS feeds that'll be available to all. And you'll be able to enjoy them without ads, just like you do on Patreon, until they build up long enough to be able to be ad supported. At least for these first seasons, which we're just going to re-release on their new feed. So please look out for those re-releases, because when you see them, we need you to subscribe. We need those numbers, subscription numbers, download numbers. That's what helps us pitch not only to ad people or sponsorship people, but to big people. People want to see numbers. So if you can, even if you don't want to listen to these shows, if you're just I want to help the Glass Cannon Network, that's what you need to do. Subscribe, download, leave a review, a positive review. Don't be a dick. Listen, I don't think there are many people at our level right now, maybe none, producing shows, certainly not of this caliber, without sponsorship. Okay? And the fact is that these shows are very expensive to produce, from talent to producers to the endless hours of post-production. You don't want to know how long that Time for Chaos finale took to prep until we put it out last week. And where these shows aren't natural revenue producers on their own just yet, we need to make sure we can find sponsorship before we bring them back for next year. Especially with all of the budget that is going to be going into other plans that I have that you're going to hear about very, very soon, that you're going to be very, very excited about. But as evidenced by our booth at Gen Con, we were gathering sponsorships at the 11th hour, and we got all the support we needed. No doubt we will get the support we need to bring back Season 2 of Haunted City, Time for Chaos, and Voyagers of the Jump. But we really do. We need sponsorship to make sure that we're not just sending money out the door and not bringing money in. This is sort of these are our pilot seasons. Let's put them out there. Let's drop those on the table and see what people think. And if they build an audience enough so that sponsors want to take a bite, then we will be ready and raring to gear up for Season 2 for all of these. So if you're a sponsor listening tonight, just hit us up at marketing@glasscannonnetwork.com. Otherwise, get ready for some pitch decks to come your way. And White Claw and Bud Light, I'm looking at you too. Don't forget us. I give you free advertisements all the time. But at the end of the day, we just want to do these shows no matter what, but we have to be fiscally responsible about it. That said, 2 days ago, I reached out to my Time for Chaos cast with options for where they want to go in Season 2 of Time for Chaos, where they want to go next in Masks of Nyarlathotep, and they decided, and I have already begun the prep, so they're happening. We just need to make sure that we get some support for them. And honestly, it's the type of thing that, like, if the Patreon grows enough, okay, well, now we can do it without the sponsorship. But we can't have another year where the Patreon stays flatline and then we're just pouring money into these shows which don't bring in money yet. Otherwise, we'll just have to take longer to build up these shows. But I mean, talk about, I know pride is a deadly sin, but I am so proud of this. Look at these casts. Look at how much we've expanded our pool of players and friends and talent. This started off as 5 losers in a sweaty Queens apartment. And now we have these unbelievably talented friends all over the US, all over the world, who make the network what it is today. And when you look at everybody there, Ross is the only one that is on 2 of these shows, right? I think Ross, because Ross in Time for Chaos and Haunted City. Spoiler alert, that's about to change for one of these other people, but I've said too much. In the meantime, I mean, how cool is that? That we went from 5 buddies to really the beginnings of a network. So I'm so excited to get these shows back up and running. Let's help make that happen, because you guys are just as indispensable to having that happen as anything. Here's something that's definitely going to happen. Get in the Trunk season 5. It's coming in 2023, baby. It is coming back, and it is going to be a continuation of Impossible Landscapes. In case there was any doubt whatsoever, I think that season 4 was arguably one of the best things we've ever produced. It broke new ground for us as role players, and also as streamers and creators. Were utilizing new techniques like multiple GMs behind the scenes, all working together to craft what I think, I'm biased obviously, but you read the boards, I read the boards. We crafted one hell of a season. Now I know on the stream, on the season finale this week, Joe said that it's coming back late next year. Don't listen to him. He gets nervous. We haven't decided when it's coming back. Well, my 2023 content calendar has a date on there, but my 2023 content calendar gives Joe an aneurysm every time he looks at it. But it has it coming back much earlier than late next year, so stay tuned. This is happening, and I mean, come on, look at this cast. Look at this cast. Sydney and Francis, am I right? Speaking of Francis, if you're coming to the New York show tomorrow night, Francis Maremma is going to be in the house. He's all the way in from Hawaii. He's visiting New York, and he was supposed to leave yesterday. And I said, dude, can you stay and come to the Brooklyn show? 1, I want you to see this. I want you to see the show. 2, I want to hang out with you because you're one of my closest friends, and I haven't seen you in forever. And 3, the Naish will lose their fucking mind if they see you. So Francis is going to be in the house tomorrow. I mean, this was just. It was a dream. It was a dream season, and we can't wait to get back to it. In the meantime, I'm thinking about / planning on remastering all of season 1, because season 1 was just a part of New Game Who Dis. I want to remaster it with the Get in the Trunk music, a new intro that explains how it came to be, and then releasing it for free into the wild, so that everyone, not just subscribers, can get in the trunk. I think that'll be a great way to get people on board for what I think is one of our best shows, on the network. It scratches an itch that nothing else really does. So get excited for that. Let's talk about Patreon. I've mentioned it a handful of times. I've mentioned how this year Patreon kind of sucked. I think we gained a ton of new people for sure, but a lot of people. Moved on for several reasons that I talked about earlier. But especially as I talk about the future plans of the GCP very shortly, in order to enact all of those plans, we have to grow the Patreon. I spoke about some of the pitfalls we ran into this year, especially releasing a lot of content that you could just get elsewhere. And I think this new structure we have in place is really going to allow us to take the Patreon to the next level, and it has to, because it is right now a critical revenue source for the growth and development of the network. So let's take a look at what the structure is going to look like going forward. Obviously, we've got the $1 sampler platter that we dropped recently. And really, the beauty of this is it gives you 12 episodes of you get the first 3 Raiders of the Lost Continent, the first 3 Legacy, the first 3 Get in the Trunks back when they were New Game Who Dis, and the first 3 Cyberpunk Red when it was on New Game Who Dis. I'm pretty sure that's what you get. So you get 12 episodes, which to me, if you listen to that and you're not a fan, okay, well, enjoy your life. I think that, like, if you're not a fan after listening to those, you never will be. And we've got like probably 60 people right now at the $1 tier. When it started, we had like 3 or 4. But I'm seeing people jump from 1 to 5, from 1 to 5 to 10. So it's definitely working. It's not snowballing, but we want to offer, it's so hard to kind of market what we do to strangers, you know what I mean? Even gamers. It's like, hey, go pay money every month for these people you've never heard of. Who's going to do that? You can pay $1, unsubscribe immediately, and get 15 hours of content, and then decide if you like it or not and come back. And hopefully you will. And if you do, we're now going to offer the following. We're going to have our $5 basic membership in the Naish and $10 premium membership in the Naish. I said Naish. Naish. Your basic membership gives you Legacy of the Ancients every single Friday, guaranteed without fail. Now that I've said that, I regret it. We just happen to have gone without fail. You get in the Trunk. That alone should be its own tier. It's $7, but no, we can't help but give. You get in the Trunk, which is seasonal content. It's not every week, but I mean, we dropped 18 episodes this year. I'm going to talk Joe into doing more next year. Plus, you get the entire back catalog of everything that we've released at $5, which is hundreds and hundreds of hours of content going all the way back to Disorganized Play, the first 3 seasons of Raiders. It all comes at that basic membership. And then if you are able to go to 10, you're going to now get Blood of the Wild, which is also going to be a weekly show. Podcast only available here. You're going to get ad-free versions of the shows. Now listen, some of these shows, the season 1s, they're going to be up and they're probably going to be ad-free for a while, so there's really no incentive to do that. But other shows are going to start getting ads on them. It's just a revenue source we cannot pass up. And so if you want ad-free versions, now you have that option at $10. Plus, you get a year's worth of New Game Who Dis. That podcast only exists at the $10 tier. That's 52 episodes, only available at $10. And you can submit a crit and fumble. And we're talking about, don't quote me on this, but we're talking about trying to find a way to make that app available to everyone that subscribes at 10 as well. So not only do you submit those crit and fumbles at 10, but you can use the app in your home game. And then the next level up is for people, who can afford it, who can afford to do this. I know that everybody can't do that. I know some people can't afford 10 or even 5. I want to hope that we offer great value at those tiers so that if you can do it, you're not going to begrudge it. You know what I mean? And think about it. You know how much a pumpkin latte costs at Starbucks now? And this is a whole month's worth of content plus back content. But if you're able to do more, you get the bottle caps at 15, you get merch coupons at 25, and the Talk Nerdy Town Hall, which is just like this really intimate thing that we've done now for the past 6 or 7 months with one of the founders and a small group just asking questions that maybe you don't ask everywhere else. And we're pretty open and honest, and we give you an inside look at things that not everyone gets to hear or see. And obviously, for our most generous people who can afford it, we have our VIGCP club, which is, VIP tickets, sound check, availability to hang out at the sound check at our shows and really be a part of something special. We know that not everyone can do that, and we're so grateful that anyone even can. And you know who you are and how important you are to us. And so, thank you. I mentioned very briefly that we are going to be launching a Refer a Friend program. Remember when we talked about sharing our Peloton codes on, was that SideQuest Side Sesh? No, I think it was Glass Cannon. Well, now we're doing a Refer a Friend program where you can refer your friend to Patreon. And if they subscribe at $5, you get $5 in merch coupons. If they subscribe at 15, you get some crazy friends like, I need bottle caps, then you get 15 in merch coupons. If you subscribe 10 friends at $5, you get those stack. So now you've got $50 in merch coupons you can use to save up for a set of dice or a hoodie or a couple of hats. We're really excited about this. This is kind of, as our consultant tells us, this is what's known as low-hanging fruit. Refer a friend. We have so many people who have been doing this naturally over the past 7 years. Like, you love us, you tell your friend, they fall in love with us. Well, now we want to incentivize that. We want to thank you for helping to grow the Naish. This will be, I think the people from the $25 tier on up are going to get an email about this on Monday, just to kind of test it out, and then it will be open to the world. And also, speaking back to Patreon for a second, right now, we're going to do 10% off annual memberships. I feel like I'm on QVC. 10% off annual memberships right now. If you switch to annual, you'll get 10% off the total. So anybody that's like, I need Blood of the Wild, and you want to jump to 10, switch to annual, and you'll get 10% off. And if you already switched during this, email us. We'll take care of it. We want to make sure we take care of you if you're going to commit to the plans that we have ahead. And hey, listen, if you're on the fence, if you're like not 100% sure yet, keep listening, and then get your trigger finger ready to subscribe annually when you hear what we've got cooking up. In the meantime, let's talk about the Extra Life Marathon. Let me just take a giant drink of this now warm Master of Pumpkins. Saturday, November 5th. This is, I think, the 5th year that we've done this. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're going to be doing it. Talk about a great cause. We last year we raised over $35,000. I set that goal and I was mocked. They're like, come on, man. Not mocked. It's like people feel bad. They're like, what if we don't hit that? We're going to look like idiots. And I'm like, we'll hit it. I believe in the Naish. And early on, I was nervous. I was like, oh shit, I don't know if we're gonna, but we hit it. And so you know what I said this year? We're doing $40K. I want to raise $40,000 for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. I mean, this goes to such a wonderful cause. We're able to do so much, and it's so easy to be a part of this. There's a number of ways you can do it. One, you can donate. And even if, I say this every year, and you're going to hear it 1,000 times when I'm playing, even if you can only do $1, do $1. Every single one of those dollars adds up. And you know what happens is people give $1, and then they give a little bit more, and then they give more. You do what you can. If you can do $1, please do $1. Because if everyone in the Naish gave $1, if every one of our Patreon subscribers gave $1, that'd be like $12,000 right there. So it does add up, number one. Number two, go to our page. It'll be on McD. We'll throw it in the chat right now. And join our team. So if you want to raise money for your own cause, like I have a personal goal of $7,500, and you can go to my Twitter and see my page, and you can donate to my cause. But that money also goes to the Glass Cannon Network goal of $40K. Well, if you join our team and you raise money for your own goal, that also goes to our $40K as well. So if you can head there and join our team and set a goal of like $100 and put it up on Facebook. You know how many friends and family are gonna blow that goal out of the water? So then you yourself get to do something nice and raise money for an amazing cause. Pick a children's hospital, like I do the Boston Children's Hospital. You pick a children's hospital and that money all goes to that hospital. So you get to do that, and then that money goes towards our $40K goal as well. We will crush that goal before we even get to noon. But, good Lord, I am sweating. Let me talk about what's happening that day. In the meantime, we're kicking off 8 a.m. Joe's going to play video games for a couple hours. He was talking to me about what he's going to play today. He was talking about bringing back Elden Ring. Sorry, Joe, I spoiled it. I think he might bring back Elden Ring. He turned it on last night. He was geeking out about it in our meeting today. I think Joe's going to play Elden Ring, may come back. After that, little guy named Matthew Capitacasa is going to play some video games. Joe went over there and taught him how to hook up his little game system to the computer. And according to the chat here, Skid is going to be joining him to teach him the ins and outs of the video game. And after that, we're going to do 6 hours straight of Gloomhaven. Me, Joe, Skid, and Mick D are going to play Gloomhaven for 6 hours straight. We're going to dig into that campaign like never before. In fact, next Saturday night, we're jumping right back in, or next Friday night, 9 p.m., we're going to be playing Gloomhaven right here. But on Extra Life Day, we're going to play for 6 hours. After that, Skid will be back for some more video games. And then at 9 p.m. that night, I'll call it the main event. Jared Logan is going to run a Pulp Cthulhu game starring me, Joe, Matthew, and Ross Bryant. Pulp Cthulhu, Jared Logan is going to be your keeper for me, Joe, Matthew, and Ross Bryant. That is going to be a show to close out a wonderful day. Oh, wait, Troy. We're still playing until 8 in the morning because after that, it's going to be all hands on deck for a gaming session, which I think is now going to be around 7 people deep. And we're going to see who can make it till 8 a.m. So we game for 24 hours straight. Spoiler alert, it'll be McD. So please join us Saturday, November 5th. We start at 8 a.m. However, you can join us right now. Follow the link that we're going to drop in the chat. Throw a couple bucks in there right now. You're going to throw more leading up. You're going to throw more on the day of. But I want to get to this 40K goal. It couldn't be for a better cause. So please, let's do this. Let's show. I get emails from them all the time, like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for doing this." And I tell them it's not us. It's our fan base. It's the Naish. I don't say the Naish because I don't feel like explaining it to them. But it's the Naish that is going to raise 40K. Let's do it to it. All right. What's next? What's next on my little... Oh, man. Are we going to talk about this next? Are we going to talk about... All right. I had mentioned that we're going to do a new show / series / venture coming in 2023. This was one of my... I call them toilet ideas because I had it in and around the bathroom. This isn't the big news, okay? So calm down, everybody. This is just big, exciting news. It's called Glass Cannon Labs. Check out that hastily put together graphic that I made. Wow, dragons mean nerds like it. What is Glass Cannon Labs? Well, we've got Legacy of the Ancients, $5 audio podcast on Patreon. We're launching Blood of the Wild, $10 audio podcast only on the Patreon. Great. Awesome. Love it. But I do enjoy streaming games. You know what I also enjoy? Not having to worry about always being on and polished and everything being just so, and the hours and time that go into pre-production and post-production and money that goes into pre-production and post-production and everything. Sometimes we just want to play games. And sometimes you want to play games and not have them be a 40-episode season or a 3-episode series. We just want to get together and be like, oh, I got this really cool new game. I've got Symborum. I've got Cult. I've got Octun Cthulhu. I've got all this shit, and I'm never going to get to play it. Enter Glass Cannon Labs. My idea about this show is this is going to be... Ideally, I like a show that you can set your watch to, like every Wednesday at 2 p.m. You know, who knows what it's going to be. But I'd like this to be at least a weekly show. I think it could grow into being even more, a show that you see pop up throughout the week. I'd like it to be a show that is during the day sometimes. People at work that can watch these shows, great. If not, catch it later on the VOD. But this is going to be a show where people get together and play RPGs. And that's it. It is a show that will only exist on Twitch because we're not polishing a podcast. We're not polishing a video production. We're not doing a million things so that this then goes out there into the ether to be consumed by a million people. This is a laboratory to experiment doing what we love to do, which is play games. We want to play games. And the thing is, like, it's part New Game Who Dis, part Game Garage, but also part like what we wish we could do if we weren't producing a million shows. It's like, let's just play games together, and who knows? I'm sure we're going to start playing some of these games, and then the way my brain works is like, 2024, here comes the Vampire the Masquerade series. You know, that's the way this is going to work, I think. But at its heart, this is a chance for us to do what we love to do, which is just sit around and play games. And if you can catch it live, it's going to be very unpolished. That was actually a working title for this, unpolished. We're just gonna sit around and learn how to play together, and you can watch it unfold. We're going to be interacting with the chat because I want people to come to the chat who know these games better than we do, so we can ask questions. Hey, how does this work? How does that work? You know, we're also going to be expanding upon what we do with Twitch. We don't have any emotes and badges and cheer motes and bit shit. We're just old dummies that know how to do that. We have people working on this so that this is really going to be a show that is made for Twitch. And it's important for people to remember, this is not at the expense of our other shows. This is not at the expense of our podcast. We are in fact launching a new podcast in Blood of the Wild. This is just something new that is going to scratch an itch for us. And honestly, I was talking to Joe about it. He's like, I'm kind of ready to do this now. Do we have to wait till 2023? And I said, calm down, soldier. And I shoved a cheesesteak in his mouth and he just fell asleep in my arms. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see this in December as content starts to slow down. We start experimenting with Glass Cannon Labs. You guys like this logo? Seems like people like the logo. I don't want to tell anybody my secret because it's not my forte, but it's old Glass Cannon Labs. It's got a dragon. All right, we are rounding this up. About an hour in. Great. Let's talk about Strange Aeons. As I mentioned, we have a show tomorrow night in New York. Hometown show. How do you like this new graphic from the amazing Angeline? We added Sydney and Jared's as Xantar and Eric as Tiny Murder Clown. Jeepers, after tomorrow night when Kate Stammis guests live on the show, we're going to have to add her character as well. Angeline, take a note. But in the meantime, please, my God, what are you doing? Come on out tomorrow night. I got a costume. We all got costumes. It's going to be so much fun, and like I said in my angry video I made the other day, it is, if you know Strange Aeons, tomorrow night's session is something you're going to wish you saw live. It is so much fun. The only other thing I prepared for today, besides this, was that show tomorrow night, and I'm so excited and nervous, and I have an email out to the writer that I'm going to send right after this because I have some questions, but get excited for that. And then just announced today, we are coming back to Philly to close out the year. We do it every year. It is the Glass Cannon Live Christmas Extravaganza. Saturday, December 3rd, we're going to be at City Winery this year. Oh, we're moving on up to the side. We love Underground Arts. They were just, by the time we went to book, they had a show that day and they wanted us to do a matinee. And I said, fuck no, I want to do a night show. So we're playing City Winery. Tickets are on sale as of right now. They went on sale this afternoon. Just go to our website, glasscannonnetwork.com/tour, and you can get tickets. VIP tickets, we're selling them separately because the charges that they wanted to throw on there were crazy. It's not their fault. That's just the way the ticketing systems work. So you can buy them through us, and there's no extra charges. But if you do buy a VIP package, just make sure you buy a general admission ticket separately. So those are the last two shows of the year. And then in 2023, we're going to slow the tour down a little bit for reasons that you're about to hear about. Just to start off the year, might start a little slow before it heats back up as we hit new cities and as we do everything we can to make this year the year we go to Canada. Oh, Canada, home and native land. We are going to the land of my people, the land of the Lavallees. We still don't know how the hell we're going to pull this off, but we are looking at venues as we speak in multiple cities in Canada. So we are pulling things back just for the beginning of the year for several reasons, some of which you're about to hear. But then we're coming back with a vengeance, hitting a ton of new cities. I don't want to say yet because nothing has been booked. Although a couple things are on hold. We've got a couple holds that we're waiting to cement, but it is our plan to finally come to Canada. And then, of course, I mean, my God, we did the Gen Con booth this year. We've already put down a deposit for an even larger booth next year. We're going to blow that shit up again. and 2 more shows at Helium Comedy Club. I've already got on hold. We're going to do 2 nights in a row, I think, instead of the day show. So listen, I don't want to say too much, but you should be very excited about the Strange Aeons tour, even though it may start the year a little slow as we focus on some other exciting things. When it comes back, a couple months into the year, it's going to come back with a bazang. Okay. Let's go back to me. Hey. Oh boy, where are my glasses? Can't read. Sorry. Let's come back to me. How's everybody doing? Everybody good? Have I whipped you into a fervor? You got those bags under my eyes. That's just sweat lines. Those aren't actual bags. It's time for the main event. This is why you tuned in. Come on. All this other stuff, very exciting. This is why you tuned in. So let's talk before I go back to my many slides. It was a year and a half ago when I did the State of the Naish. Sitting crisscross applesauce. It was a year and a half ago. I think it was May. And in that State of the Naish, when I soon afterwards said I would never do it again, I talked about the future of the GCP, because at the time we had just got back into it after the COVID break. And we knew the end was nigh. And so, we decided on what we were going to do. And so I talked about what life after Giant Slayer would look like. I said that the plan would be, not only would we be switching to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but we'd also be creating our own unique world and campaign setting and kicking it off with our own unique adventure. Well, I started working on that in early 2021, before the State of the Naish last year, and my good friend Dave Kang and I, we brought together this team of amazing people in the industry, writers, gamers, personalities, and we had several brainstorm sessions with all of them, and got so much great feedback off of our initial ideas, while also being presented with all these other ideas and points of view that we had never thought about. And then we went off for a few months and started beating out the whole story from start to finish, really with the focus being on the beginning of the story, so that we could leave room for the story to grow organically. We had the benefit with this project of not having to plan everything out, because it's not immediately going to go for sale. I wanted this story to not just follow a predetermined plot. I wanted the story that the players developed to be an integral part of the overall narrative as well, rather than just following a path that I essentially led to an inevitable set of endings. So we were really focusing on those early chapters, while having a very strong sense of the overall structure of the entire story. And we put a ton of hours into it. I mean, you'd be shocked at the number of, actually you wouldn't be shocked, how my notes are, the number of documents I have that contain what I think are the beginnings of a very, very unique, exciting adventure. Joe and I were in Vegas a couple weeks ago, and had a little too much to drink, and I kind of told him for the first time just a very basic premise that all the players would know before character creation. And I could see in his eyes, he saw it. He saw what we saw. My writing partner, who is not prone to hyperbole, just would say over and over again in our meetings, Dave would say to me, he's like, if we could pull this off, this could be like one of those stories that people talk about for a long time. And I'm like, well, I am prone to hyperbole, so I obviously think that. But nonetheless, we're very, very excited about it. And then that was like August of last year. And then September rolled around, and we had 6 shows in September because of all of those COVID shows that got pushed and jammed together. And that led right into the prep for the Androids and Aliens finale, which was just a ton of work. And then that kind of snowballed into the holidays, and then the preparations for the end of Giant Slayer. And truth be told, I burnt myself out. I burnt myself out on Pathfinder. I burnt myself out on gaming, on everyone around me. This is something I feel like I'm still kind of recovering from all of these shows closing. And I just didn't, during all of this, I couldn't find the space, like the mental space, the creative space, to focus on this new adventure and this new world. And so part of giving not only myself, but everyone a break after Giant Slayer was releasing all of these Strange Aeon shows on that feed, because I didn't want that feed to go dark. I didn't want the Giant Slayer finale to drop and then the talkback session and it'd be like, we'll see you in 6 months with GCP 2.0. I wanted to put something on that feed because people rely on that content from week to week. That's why SideQuest Side Sesh came in during COVID, because I didn't want to miss a week. If we could, I wanted to provide content for people who need that. And so we put Strange Aeons on there. That was our stopgap option, or stopgap plan between the end of Giant Slayer and the beginning of 2.0. We called it GCP 1.5. And here we are now, in the throes of GCP 1.5, because once we caught up with the tour, the plan was obviously to start streaming on Twitch every week and supplement that with the tour and release that on the feed. And I mean, we're just having so much fun playing Strange Aeons. And if you come out and see these tour shows, I had to go back and look at a bunch of tour shows for this year. Oh, because I was naming all the episodes. We just released names for all the episodes. So I had to go back and look and try and find something that I could make a pun out of or something. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot about all these shows. Like so many great, I don't want to toot our own horn. I'm just saying, like, so many great moments for these shows. It was just a wonderful year for Strange Aeons. And I really think that that show and that story is better than ever. But you know what it's not? It's not GCP 2.0. And it's not the Glass Cannon podcast. It's something different. It's a beautiful thing that we love, but it's not the GCP the way it was originally conceived. And we've always known that. We always knew that it wasn't going to be that. But it's what we needed to do so that we could gear up and prepare for the next thing. So, I have good news and I have great news. What do you want to hear first? Seeing some greats, a couple goods. I'm going to give you the good news first. The good news is I have started working on GCP 2.0. Again, it's very cursory, toe dip back in, but, you know, the creation of the world is honestly the thing that's been holding up the process, or held up the process to begin with. It's really the biggest roadblock, because the first story of this adventure it's kind of ready. We were at the phase in August of last year where, like, we had the Bible written and we had the step above an outline. My brain is mush right now, but we had the deck ready to, like, hand to a writer to start writing book 1 and book 2. We call them chapter 1 and chapter 2 of a multi-chapter story. But my concern that was holding me back is I feel like I didn't have enough of the world fleshed out ahead of time, because I didn't want to be forced to solely rely on what I came up with in the moment when someone asked about things that weren't exactly germane to the story. You know, there's a million different ways to world build. If any of you have spent any time world building or reading about world building, you go inside out, outside in, top, bottom, bottom down. But I feel like I want to have a strong foundational campaign setting first and share that with you. Maybe even have you be a part of that process. I want to share that process of world building with you. Have the world be out there before we even populate it with stories. And then while that's happening, we can start writing the first few chapters of the adventure, developing that story, so that we'll be ready to start recording GCP 2.0 sooner rather than later. Now, I mentioned on a Cannon Fodder, I sort of offhandedly said, maybe it won't even be Pathfinder 2nd edition. As to whether or not it'll be Pathfinder 2e, I think it will certainly, when we launch our adventure, I think it will certainly start in Pathfinder 2nd edition. But if it moves from 2e to anything else, it's not because we don't like 2e. It will only be because there are other options for us as a company outside of 2e, which are better for the growth and expansion of the brand. Like, frankly, I would like to create our own game system, but that would take years and years to do. We're not game developers. We'd have to partner up with game developers to create a game system that we think is going to compete with these other, I have a lot of great ideas for that, but that's going to take a long time. So as long as Pathfinder 2e continues to be the best way for us to grow, that's the game system. It has nothing to do with whether or not we like it. We really like it, but I don't really care about what we like. I care about what is going to put us in the best position for the network. And I think 2e is going to be the way. And if it is the way, then it's the way. Let's go back to the video instead of looking at my stupid sweaty ass face. Yeah, okay, boom. Sha-na-na, sha-na-na. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about. Well, I mean, I'm pretty much set. The good news is that everything I wanted to do with GCP 2.0 it's starting to happen again, which is very, very exciting for me creatively. I don't know. I think House of the Dragon also got me like all jazzed up again. It kind of, whether you guys like it or not, it reignited my love of that Martin fantasy, where I'm just like, I'm percolating with ideas. And also, having spent some time away from Giant Slayer, it's given me ideas and exploring other systems. It has made my sort of creative engine more fertile for new ideas. So now I'm like back in it and really, really excited. But in the meantime, everything that I wanted to do with GCP 2.0 is going to happen starting in 2023, with the exception of the unique world and story, which I'm now working on again. So, coming in 2023, we are getting back into the studio. We are getting back into a studio to record in person a brand new Pathfinder 2nd Edition pre-written adventure path that will be the new Glass Cannon podcast until we debut our homemade world and adventure after that. It is time to get back in the studio and get back to our roots, playing a game in a room together and playing a pre-written adventure path, because I don't want to wait for 2.0 to be ready. I don't want to wait for that unique world. I want to start creating new stories with my friends. So we're going to do it. And let me tell you, this is a show that is meant to be a fully edited podcast first, with a very exciting video component as well. But the main focus will be on the podcast version. This isn't going to be a Twitch show, I'll tell you right now. At least that's not my initial plan. We'll see what happens. But this is something quite different. I've been searching for this idea for, I feel like, years, but certainly in the past 6 months, I've been searching for this idea on how to do this video, how to shoot this show in a way that is different than every other actual play that's out there, and that really doesn't take away from what got us here in the first place. And it finally came to me. And we'll talk about that some other time, because I don't want to spoil what it's going to be. But the point is, the video is not going to get in the way of those who like the audio. You're going to have your fully edited podcast every single week. And if you like video, or you want to supplement with video, I think you're going to have something really, really cool to watch as well that is different. It's so hard to do something different right now, but fuck, I feel like I figured something out. So get excited, feed off my excitement. But I really think the focus on a podcast is going to get people excited who like miss Giant Slayer. So let's talk about the cast. It's going to be me, Joe, Skid, and Matthew, and up to 2 new additions. Could be 1, might be 2, won't be 3. It is going to be 4 of the original members with 1 to 2 other people. I don't want to talk about those people. Don't ask me questions about those people. There's a lot that goes into this, okay? When it's time for you to know, you'll know, but you should be very, very excited because I've spoken to the guys about this and they are over the moon. So, let's just be excited and not, speculate all you want, but like, just be aware there's people that read these things and, feelings that get hurt and stuff. So just be cool. But the guys are really excited about this. And for the people who just miss listening to, at least 4 of the 5 original guys in the same room together from week to week, we're back, baby. We're back, baby! We are coming back with a new show. I guess you're probably wondering what we're going to play. Yep. Everybody wants to know what we're going to play. Scotch. Well, I reached out to our good friends at Paizo. And Aaron Shanks, you guys know Aaron, give him a follow on Twitter. Great guy, he's been very helpful to us ever since he's jumped into his new position. He reached out and he sent me an advanced copy of their next 3-book adventure path, slated to drop this coming January. I started reading it. I think only I and the Paizo staff, actually maybe not even the staff, maybe only the writers have read this, but I've started reading it. I'm almost finished book 1, and I think it's the adventure for us. So I asked Aaron, I said, now listen, you've shown me the cover of this book. Can I show it on stream? Because this is an image that they themselves haven't even shown. So I didn't know if they'd be like, cool with that. And he said yes. So you're about to see something for the first time ever, because the new Glass Cannon podcast will be 4 of the original 5 and some exciting friends playing the Gatewalker's Adventure Path. Look at that cover. That is by Olivier Bernard. This is a 3-book AP penned by Paizo heavyweights. James Sutter wrote book 1. Jason Keeley wrote book 2. James Jacobs wrote book 3. It is the first adventure path that will truly dig into the new classes and mechanics and stories from the Dark Archive, which, if you watched our Gen Con shows, started to dance around the Dark Archive adventures. The PCs will take on the roles of paranormal investigators, digging into a potentially earth-shattering mystery. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, paranormal? Like the Ghostbusters? No, man. No, woman. No, everybody listen. Paranormal, it's like outside the normal. There is some weird shit happening in Galarian, and the PCs are there to investigate. It is time to get back to business, and we are doing it right here. Your old buddies and people you absolutely love are going to be playing the Gatewalkers. Gatewalkers! I'm so excited. I've been reading this now, I guess for 2 weeks. And the way that I read this, I just started reading it assuming that we were going to do it. Even though I wasn't sure. And who knows? I mean, things could change, but I'm really excited about this. And I'm reading it. This is the way that I read Adventure Paths. It's like I start acting it out while I'm reading it, like imagining what the episodes are going to be like, imagining like telling Joe, hey, I need some dark music here. Or like, hey, or like doing the NPC voices and stuff. And it's so different from Giant Slayer. But it has so much of the, it takes characters from like 1st to 10th level. So you get to start off as like just regular old Joes again, and turn into heroes. And there's so much in here that I'm so excited about. Keep your spoilers light in the chat. I don't want any of the cast reading about it. I don't want anybody who's going to listen to it reading about it. I just want you to listen every week and fall back in love. And if that wasn't enough, you may have noticed that Cannon Fodder was not listed here on the Patreon tiers. Right now, you watch Cannon Fodder every Friday. Joe had the amazing Alicia Marie on today, and you can listen to the audio only on the $10 tier, and we don't even release the video. Well, in 2023, we won't be doing either, because Cannon Fodder is going back to its roots as well. We are bringing back a new rendition of the original Cannon Fodder, and this is something that I'm really excited about. Every week on the Glass Cannon feed, Joe and I are going to get together, and we are going to talk about the previous episode and talk about major announcements in the network. So you're going to be able to listen to what might be a 15-20 minute podcast where someone who knows 2E, we have a resident professor of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, is going to listen to each episode in advance and tell us everything we did wrong. And then we're going to talk about it. We're going to sit there with that sheet and we're going to go over everything. And 2 things are going to happen. We're going to have a great time talking about our mistakes, and we're going to learn the ins and outs of this game. In addition, we're going to use that as a great way to talk about everything that happens on the network. Because if you don't follow us on Twitter or Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or subscribe to the newsletter, nobody ever gets information about what's happening. Well, we're going to talk about that too. It's going to be a tight 15 to 20 minute companion episode to every week of the show. The original Cannon Fodder with Joe and I. I think it might be a stream as well, but for you podcast listeners, you're going to be listening to a tight pod where we really dig in to Pathfinder 2nd Edition, really dig into the previous episodes. We are stupids, essentially. So we're really excited about that. That same professor is going to be working with Jared on Blood of the Wild to make sure that, they're running a tight ship as well. We have fun playing the games, and sometimes you take the rules and you just got to throw them out the window. But we really want to learn this game and do justice to this system, because we're about to be playing a lot of it with Legacy of the Aeons, obviously Pathfinder 1st Edition, but then Blood of the Wild, playing Curse of the Frozen Flame. Quest for the Frozen Flame, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and then Gatewalkers 2nd Edition, and Strange Aeons converted to 2nd Edition. We want to make sure we know this inside and out, so you can tune in every week, a companion show. Last things I want to talk about before I open it up to Q&A is just what happens until then. So I'll go back to Strange Aeons. So the plan is, at the beginning of the year, basically right now, we are going to do Strange Aeons pretty much every Thursday night live for a couple hours. Obviously, we have the New York show this week, so there was no show this Thursday. We've got Thanksgiving and holidays coming up. After the Christmas show in Philly, that will be the last Strange Aeon show of the year. There'll be no other streams or podcasts releasing after that Philly show. We're going to take the rest of the year off to have the holidays with our families. Coming in January, while we're prepping and going back into the studio and getting ready for the new Glass Cannon podcast, we are going to be releasing Strange Aeons. It's not going to be live because, honestly, getting everybody together at the same time every single week is really hard. And what it lends itself to is a lot of like switching in and out of characters, which has kind of been Strange Aeon's jam anyways, but like it's hard to do this story that way. I can always come up with cool things, as you'll see tomorrow night when we introduce Kate's character, but it's really not conducive to keeping the flow of this story alive. So in January, we're going to do, our plan is to do a weekly stream that will be pre-recorded. It might be a little shorter. It's going to be a little bit more compact. These 2-hour shows every week. Basically, I don't want anything taking away from the preparation of the new Glass Cannon podcast, but I also want to make sure we're dropping new content every week. So in addition to Legacy of the Ancients and Blood of the Wild, which is Patreon exclusive, you're going to get Strange Aeons content every single week, podcast and a stream. And then when the new Glass Cannon podcast launches, featuring Gatewalkers, Adventure Path, Strange Aeons will go back to being the tour show. All right, there it is. How do people feel? I couldn't watch the chat. Are people excited? Let me get some praise logs if you're excited. How many praise logs can we get? I'll wait. Actually, I'll have some more beer. All right, I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of logs. It's exciting, right? We're excited. Listen, if I could have done this right after Giant Slayer, I would have. I just couldn't. I just couldn't do any of this stuff. There's just too much going on. So this next year is really going to be about continuing to expand upon our new content. Continuing to expand upon these new shows that, I read every single fucking comment, YouTube comment, Discord, Reddit post. It's a problem. But I like to know. I like to know what people think. I like the bad comments as much as the good comments because it teaches me. It lets me take the temperature of the Naish. And these shows have fans, so I want to continue to expand. But I don't want to put our roots on hold for the development of this new process. It's time to get back to doing what we do while working on this in the background. And that's another reason why I can't be on Raiders of the Lost Continent, because in addition to doing Strange Aeons and prepping Gatewalkers and doing all this, is like I'm working on 2.0. I'm getting ready to hand these creations over to writers to turn into adventure paths that we can share with the world very, very soon, I hope. And in the meantime, I want to document this entire process. I want you to see Joe and I walking around New York looking for new studios. We don't know if we're going to rent a new office or if we're going to find full service production studios that have video and audio. We're going to be going into the city, kind of getting dirty, figuring this out. I want to document that process. I want to document the process of world building and share it with you. There's so much exciting stuff happening. I don't want to wait till the next state of the Naish to vomit all this info. I want this process of all these things we're talking about to be something that the Naish really feels like they're a part of, whether you can afford to be a subscriber or not. So that's the state of the Naish. That's the state of the Naish. That's the 2022 state of the Naish. Looking forward to 2023. I'm going to open it up for questions. Don't start asking yet because I can only look at so many. I don't have a helper in the back. All I want to say is don't ask yet. Thank you. Thank you for listening tonight, obviously. But don't start running away. I see the numbers going down. Thank you for listening. If you can subscribe to that Patreon at $5, if you're not subscribed, or bump up to $10 because you want to hear Jared Logan's Blood of the Wild with Mary Lou, Paula Deming, Skid, and Joe, please do that. If you can go up to any other tier, do that. If you can move to annual, 10% off right now for everybody watching and everybody that listens after this. I'm going to keep it going. Take that annual sub. If you are on board for what we're doing for the next year, just subscribe annually. You get that discount and you're in it. Then you have to worry about it. But everything you can do to help us build this Patreon, to build this company, it's all going to go back into creating what you want and what you love. A little escape every single week, either in your ears or for your eyes. So a toast to the Naish. I feel like a weight has been lifted. Now I'm going to take, here's what I'm going to do. It's 8:40. I'm going to take questions for 10 minutes or so, maybe less. No, I'll do 10 minutes. And then I'm going to move to Discord. I'm going to finish the Q&A on on the Champagne Room, which anyone can access if you subscribe at $5. So again, I can't answer all these questions. They're going to start. I'm sure they're going to start coming fast and furious. And some questions I may not have the answers to, so I might just ignore. Don't take it personally. I'll do what I can. Let's go to the questions. Troy, how are you doing handling all this work? This is from Edgeworth. I know all of the Naish doesn't want you to burn out with your hard work. We appreciate it. You know, burnout's real, and it's something that I've never paid a ton of attention to, just because most of my life was just grinding and grinding and grinding for no result. And now that I have something, it's just like, you just want to like hold on for dear life before it slips out of your fingers. And then you have a year like this where you're like, you have these moments where you have to start to second guess yourself. Ooh, should I have done Time for Chaos or should I have done something else? But then I think about how much fun I had and how much creative freedom I had to do Time for Chaos and how much that has enriched my soul that I can now take into the next thing. So the burnout is real. And now I've got, children. It's a lot. It's just, everybody's got to figure out their own shit. And I will say that I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job of that, while also trying to be mindful of everyone around me, which is important too, as the boss. Ike in Rochester, are you running for re-election? I will have you know that not unlike a king, this is a lifelong position. Go GeoGeek to the rescue. How much would it cost to get something named after me in the GCP 2.0 world? Listen, there's plenty of people do this, and I'm not saying we won't. Don't be surprised if you see a Kickstarter or something in the future when we get deeper into wanting to print this world. Like, for $8,000, you can have an NPC named after you. It's not something I really want to do right now. I just be lucky that we do crits and fumbles. That's enough immersion breaking, I think, that I can handle. John Harper. John Harper, obviously the creator of Blades in the Dark. Troy, truly love your passion and love for this hobby and for GCN. It's great to see. Talk about a great guy. I mean, John not only is a genius game designer. Hey, John, we should talk about the game that I want to create. But also just like a huge supporter of our network. We met John just via chat as he was watching the Tin Whistles. And now John is one of our most ardent supporters. I see him in chat all the time. Thank you, John. For being such a big supporter of what we're doing. It lends credence and I don't know, it just makes us feel special. We're up the Champagne Room. We sure are. I love your cowl jacket. Where did it come from? I don't know what a cowl jacket is. Is it this thing that's making me sweat like a pig? Troy, what about Glass Cannon Con? Asked Kelvar13. Okay, I know a lot of people say, I'm going to get a Glass Cannon Con announcement. Joe and I were in Vegas for our manager's bachelor party a couple weeks ago. It wasn't a business trip. I'd be lying if I said I didn't take some time out to look at some more casinos. There's a lot that goes into this. I was very, very excited about this when we came back from Vegas, and the casino that we were looking to do this with is now shutting down, which is fine. But like having looked at 11 casinos and deciding this was the one that I wanted to do the con at, and knowing that it's going to shut down, and knowing that this is a con that I want to launch to last, until we sell it, it just wasn't the right fit. So now it's not like we have to go back to the drawing board because we know exactly what we want. But again, it's with all these other things that we have going on, we have to make sure that we're approaching everything systematically. I don't want to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. I want to make sure that we've got the Glass Cannon podcast back where it needs to be. And that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort. This stuff is happening in the background, though, and the second we have an update on that, I'll let you know. I'm hoping to get back out to Vegas, maybe even by the end of the year, certainly by the beginning of next year, to start looking at some new options. Because when I was out there, I saw a couple of casinos that we didn't look at their setup for this event, and so I'd like to go back and see that, and then just start working backwards from there. I see people asking about like, oh, is such and such a writer still involved? Is such and such a writer? At this point, we haven't had contact with anybody for over a year because the project was put on, you could say it's caught in development hell. And when that happens, everybody goes and does their own thing. So like, it's my hope that these people will still be available when it's time. But right now, no one is formally attached to the project besides myself. But that's only because we're just gearing back up. By the time we do the next announcement, or as I reveal this process over time, you're going to see hopefully a lot of these names pop back up. Fumble Fever. Troy, quick question for you. Did you know that you're the best? No, you are. A Grumble of Pug says, is the new AP more classic horror or more Lovecraft? It's funny. I don't want to spoil too much, but like it starts off, and I think there's a lot of similarities to Strange Aeons in a way, but it is not Lovecraftian. I don't even think it's horror based. It is really, I told Joe the other day, it's something it's a subject matter and a setting that we've really never dug into on the network. And as I read more of this and kind of into it, what books 2 and 3 are going to be like, it's unlike anything we've ever done. So it's really neither in a way. I'm sure there's going to be elements of horror, and I think naturally, just where I'm doing so much Lovecraft stuff, that's going to infuse its way in. But that's not what this is. It's something very, very different. And please, nobody spoil it in the chat, even though I'm the only one with an advanced copy. Mike Bartosh, Paranoia in Glass Cannon Labs? No. Maybe, I don't know. I think there's a new like Ultimate Edition of Paranoia coming out. I should give it another shot. We stumbled through that first one and it never quite popped. But we've changed as gamers. That was like very early on in our branching out from Pathfinder. Maybe we need to reapproach it. I know that they reached out to us recently because they're releasing a brand new edition of it, and so I wouldn't be surprised. You're going to see a lot of cool things in Glass Cannon Labs. Definitely bumping up to the $15 tier when you get paid. Thank you, APOC Gollum. Darby and Gary, any chance of GURPS coming back? I wouldn't be surprised. Seemed like that was very, very popular. And that's the beauty of Glass Cannon Labs. Like, I don't need to do a GURPS series anymore. I don't need to in order to play more GURPS, I've got to budget for a 10-episode GURPS season. No, I can just be like, hey, Jared, do you want to play GURPS Wednesday? And you can play GURPS. Which is great. 3 bowls of cake. Please come to Florida. Clean up your act, Florida, and we'll consider it. We've looked at Florida. Honestly, it's hard to find a venue. It's not currently on our plan for 2023, but we'll be back down south. Don't you worry. Morgana 13. Dear Troy, why are you so sweaty? And also, are your teeth wet? Why am I so sweaty? Because the heat is on because the boys are asleep and we don't want them to freeze. And in my office, it all just kind of sits in here. And my teeth are always wet. Neo Manic XZ, did you see Hallmark has already started before Halloween? Yes, I saw that. Obviously tonight, Hallmark's Countdown to Christmas began, and you can follow me at Troy Lavallee on TikTok. I started a TikTok today. There's no content on there, but starting November 1st, I will be dropping daily content on there, reviewing Hallmark Christmas movies. And if you like Christmas, or maybe if you just need to get in the spirit, be sure to follow me on TikTok at Troy Lavallee, which, by the way, it's impossible to find me. So just go to Twitter, and there's a link, and you can find my TikTok from there. We love you, Troy. Take care of yourself. Don't tell me what to do, Blue Apothecary. Gnarl09 says, any murder mystery RP game nights planned? Ooh, that does sound fun. I'm sure Jared has something very cool planned for the Pulp Cthulhu game, 9 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, November 5th, as sort of the main event of our Extra Life Marathon. Will it be a murder mystery? Maybe. Pulp Cthulhu characters don't really die, so it's probably a lot of investigation into something. Corona says, Troy, how's Linus doing? Have you been giving him enough attention? I do. I have 2 human sons and 1 cat son. And it's a lot of work making sure that they're all taken care of. But Linus pretty much spends most of his day in my office, and he's my assistant. V-Flag, once the live show returns to just the live format, will there be occasional marathons to catch the Strange Aeon story back up to a quicker pace? I've thought about it, honestly. I don't want to commit to it because it's all a matter of like time and burnout. You know, that's why like when we come back in January after the Christmas break, these might not be 2-hour streams anymore. They might be like an hour banter in an hour or something, just because I want to move through the story. I want to keep content on that feed. And also, I didn't mention this, but like Joe and I are going to start doing cannon fodder right away in January, and we're going to do it for the Strange Aeons episodes. I'm losing steam here for the Strange Aeons episodes that we're going to do. So we're not going to wait to launch that new cannon fodder when the new Glass Cannon podcast arrives. We're going to do that right away with the return of Strange Aeons. Our resident professor is going to be listening to those episodes and telling us everything we did wrong. And so those are going to be coming as well. In terms of marathon, you know, I like those because we get a lot done, but it's just a shit ton of work. And I've got a lot of fish to fry. Hellsong, Troy, when are you coming to Fort Myers? Dude, I would love to come. I'm maybe not a dude. I call everybody dude. I'd love to come when the Red Sox have spring training, and then also maybe do a show. We'll see what we can do. Ajax Mailman, will we ever see Jade Region? No, I actually brought it up to the guys at the beginning of COVID. I was like, let's play Jade Region. And Skid and Joe both were like, that game is so precious to us, we don't want other people judging it. And we'd rather not play it than have other people judge it. And not judge in the sense like this is bad, but like just judge everything about it. That was like our home game. And I just wanted to do it because I thought it would sell. And also I wanted to have an excuse to play it. But, you know, unfortunately, yeah, I don't think it's ever going to come to the network. Or we'll ever play it again. I have these pipe dreams of just being like, Drew, Skid, Matthew, Joe, let's just go get a hotel for a weekend and just play. I'll prep as much as I can. We'll just play because I honestly think we could get it done. We could get something done if we played for a whole weekend. Yeah, more South Skorkowski. Absolutely more South Skorkowski. I mean, that Friends of the Pod that we did, and by the way, we're planning on more Friends of the Pod. I was going to announce it tonight, but we haven't locked anything in. We have a lot of exciting people we want to collaborate with. We want to collaborate with Seth again. I mean, doing that Friends of the Pod and having Seth post it on his YouTube channel, which just passed, 100,000 subscribers? It was such a huge influx of new people to the network. Now, converting them to subscribers is that next stage, but it means so many new people are watching us now because of that collaboration. So that's the beauty of Friends of the Pod, and we really want to do more of that. But at the end of the day, you take a guy like Seth, who's just a great fucking guy that we want to hang out with and play games with. So don't be surprised if you see Seth hanging around Glass Cannon Labs as well. P-Mode 02. Troy, what? Why? What? How? Tell me about it. Okay. Arch Foxy, what's the new studio like? Are you worried about so many shows being cosmic horror focused? Question 1. There is no studio yet. We don't know if we're going to rent a new studio that's going to be like our new rental studio. Part of the reason we ditched the old one, it was just money being wasted. Especially with Giant Slayer ended. We had no new plans to do stuff in there. We were working fine remotely. It didn't make sense to pay that insane rent that we were paying. It wasn't like we weren't being gouged. That's just what shit costs in New York. So we got to price this all out. What's going to be most cost effective? If we can find a full service studio, that might be better because that might come with a staff to help us. If we find our own space, it would be nice because then we have a lot of our equipment, but then we need people to run that equipment. And so there's a lot of pros and cons we have to weigh, but I'm excited to get back out there. I've already made a bunch of calls, and Joe and I are going to be having some day dates in the city where we look at everything. And I mean, I really want to find like, this sounds stupid, but it doesn't sound stupid. It'd be fucking great if I could do this. I want to find like someone to follow us around with a camera and body mics, like a documentary, to really document this process from start to finish. I think it'd be really interesting, even if it's just snippets for social media and not like a fancy camera or phone. I just want to find someone who's interested in doing that, and we will pay them to then do that. So if that's you, Troy at glasscannonnetwork.com. Am I worried about so many shows being cosmic horror focused? No, I'm really not. I know that was something that people were concerned about on the boards because we launched, Time for Chaos and Get in the Trunk at the same time that we're doing a Strange Iron show. But like that's what we're interested in right now. I know that it might not be like the same diversity of content that people would like, but like that's really what we wanted to play. I think that what's going to happen in 2023 is those are going to be staggered a little bit more, so there'll be less overlap. Obviously, Strange Aeons is just a constant for now, at least, unless we change the tour. But I think you're going to see Get in the Trunk and Time for Chaos happen at 2 different times, and with other shows happening and much more Pathfinder content. I don't think you're going to see that as much, but it's one of those things like we're businessmen and women, but we're also like gamer nerds, and we're just way into cosmic horror right now, and that's what we want to play. First time watching, says Slices and Dices, but a long time fan. Well, thank you. You picked a hell of a night to watch. Did you think I would be so sweaty in person? Are you coming to Brooklyn tomorrow night? Avenging Futon. So I missed something. What's happening on Tuesday? I don't know. You'll have to watch back and find out. Nothing's happening Tuesday. Awesome Dairy says, could we get a GCN version bottle cap of the sombrero penis from Androids and Aliens? Ah, yes, the one playing a Vuvuzela. I miss that guy. Really do. Maybe I'll bring him back tomorrow night in Brooklyn. By the way, tickets still on sale. VIGCP packages still available for Glass Cannon Live Brooklyn with special guest Kate Stamus. Don't do it for us. Do it for Kate. She's leaving Brooklyn. She's moving upstate. Come say hi. It's going to be a hell of a show. The Bluick there'll be a permanent show with a silly vibe like SideQuest Side says. No, but I think Strange Aeons kind of fills that gap. Obviously, it's not going to continue in the same vein once we launch the new Glass Cannon podcast, but it does scratch that itch. The last few Twitch streams have been much more classic GCP if you've watched them. There's flashbacks. There's a lot more character development. Yeah, we still get silly, like we're always going to get silly, but I had a lot of fun doing that, and that was one of the reasons I wanted Strange Aeons to fill in this stopgap for the next iteration of the podcast. But I don't know. Yeah, I'd love to play SideQuest Side Session again someday with those characters, or the ones that are still alive. But I don't think it's going to happen. Mr. Delta Mike. By the way, I'm going to do this for 2 more minutes, and then if you want to ask more questions, come on down to the Patreon Discord. It is a subscriber-only Discord, and just head to the Champagne Room Voice. I already see 20 or so people are in there. I'm going to pop in there, and you can ask your questions in the Champagne Room, and I will get to them. Oh, I am currently muted. Let me unconnect to that. Anyways, I'll do a couple more questions. When you have time to play games, what do you play? I don't play any RPGs that aren't recorded. And that's kind of what Glass Cannon Labs are for. I'm excited to do that, even though it's going to be recorded. It's meant to be sort of a fly on the wall to a bunch of nerds playing a game. But I've been playing a lot of NBA 2K13, but really I'm not hungry for it like I am for Call of Duty when it releases next week. I talked about it on Twitter this week. It's like my Christmas game. It's my holiday game. I feel it's as much a part of the holidays as anything else because I always play it around this time. So I'm really excited to dive into that. After I platinumed Elden Ring, I just don't have the emotional energy to play an RPG until something scratches my fancy. Roland Deshane, fan of the Degenerate Dungeon on Sunday mornings. Really enjoyed the Strange Aeons marathon you had leading back to the return of the live shows. That was great. We finished a whole part of a book. I'd easily plop down 20 for a pay-per-view 4-hour session once every 3 months or so. Is that even feasible? Those shows were great. I'll tell you what, it's a damn good idea. I don't like making people have to pay for everything piecemeal, but it's the type of thing where like if it's something that we can't do because of time and money and this and that, maybe that's the compromise. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but it is pretty interesting. Obviously, we experimented with the Nashville show this year. We partnered up with, the name is escaping me right now, for them to stream the show. We'd like to do that again, but it's hard because like that show hit YouTube a couple days later. There wasn't really a lot of incentive to watch it live when you could just watch it on YouTube. I don't know, but this is a really good idea. Roland Deshane, you've got some good ideas. 2 more questions. I'm going to head over to the Discord for a little bit. I don't see any more questions, and it's just a lot of yes. Crooked Warden 13. When can we expect release dates for 2023 shows? My hope is that Blood of the Wild will be ready for January, so you'll get Legacy and Blood of the Wild right out the gate, and then when we come back from the Christmas break, Strange Aeons will be back as your weekly stream and podcast, and then we're going to have Glass Cannon Lives, which I hope will be at least a weekly show. As for the new Glass Cannon podcast, you will see the process unfold. You know, I hope we're recording that as early as February. You know, this process could go very fast or it could get held up, but it is a focus of Joe and mine, and that's one of the reasons that we're scaling back touring in the beginning part of the year, because we want to find that studio, get in there, and start recording this new show. One more question here. Let me see if I can find a good one. Boop-a-doop. Oh, you bump back to old questions. Thank you, Sundance Kiddo 007. Just upgraded to $10 tier from $5. We believe in you, Troy and Co. Thank you, guys and girls and everybody. We really appreciate it. You know, I know that this was a different year for us, and I know that people were falling away from it. You know what I mean? Because it changed. A lot changed, but we needed that change in order to take a step back and gear up for what we're to return to this year. I'm not seeing any questions jump out at me right now, so I'm gonna wrap up the stream so I can head over to the Discord. You're welcome to join if you're a subscriber. I want to give a little more time there, but shit, this was great. Thank you. I told my wife, I said I'll be done by 9. I'll totally be done by 9. Now I'm going to the Discord, but thank you. You know, like I said at the beginning, obviously there's some news is a little like, but mostly I hope that you're really excited about the direction that we're going, and I hope that you will continue to support us by subscribing to our Patreon, buying our merch, coming to our live shows. You know, you got the Brooklyn show tomorrow night, and you've got the Philly show. That Philly show is always the best. So please, and it's PAX Unplugged weekend. We're going to be hanging out at PAX Unplugged. We're going to be gaming. We're not doing any shows at PAX besides Glass Cannon Live. We're just going to be hanging out, gaming, having a couple pops. So please come out to that, and just I want to meet people and hear from you and talk to you and continue to forge these relationships. You know, there's going to come a time where maybe we can't hang out after the live shows when we're playing 1,000-seat venues, but right now we can, and it's important that we continue to do so. So thank you for your support over the years, and thank you for your continued support. I will see you real soon. Don't forget, Extra Life Marathon 11/5. Donate if you can, and join our team so your donations go towards our goal. I love you. That's the end of the State of the Naish.